Good afternoon and welcome to BizTech's Asian Midday Market Watch, powered by the Smart Investor Singapore. It's Thursday, the 10th of November, and we have our regular Thursday guest, David Kuo, founder of the Smart Investor Singapore. David, welcome to the show.
Hi, selamat tengah hari, Brian. Down day Thursday. Definitely.
Down day Thursday.
Yep.
And the thing about it, and we'll talk about more about this, the bloodbath in the crypto markets. Now we're going to start with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is now trading at 16,000. Yes, you heard right. 16,432. It's down 9.93%. Ethereum is at 1,174.16. It's down 10%. Now, if we look at regional equity markets, the picture is much better. The SGX is up 0.34%. Bursa Malaysia is up 0.23%, but Shanghai is down 0.51%. The ASX All Ordinaries is down 0.62%. The Nikkei is down 1.03%. The Hang Seng is down 1.91%. And rounding up the numbers, we've got the Kospi, which is down as well, 0.55%. Now, David, what's your view on market performance in the first half of the day?
Well, the thing is, I'd like to sort of pick out the KLCI, the Kuala Lumpur Composite Index, just to talk around some of the stocks that have done quite well. Fraser and Neave had results out yesterday, full year results, and sales were up. Profits was down a little because they were talking about cost pressures, but they're going to be addressing that. But it's actually the revenues that were up that was really quite surprising. And of course, they paid a dividend. The other thing in Malaysia at the moment, I noticed that some of the stocks that are doing reasonably well today are the glove makers. So you got Supermax, Hartelaga, and also Top Glove, three of them up at the top of the leaderboard. So do you think the market knows something about what is going on in the healthcare sector that we haven't actually been told yet? Because it's quite surprising when you think that these glove makers were down in the doldrums for a while, but over the last couple of months, they've actually been climbing. And so do you think that there is another pandemic or another epidemic just around the corner, Brian?
I think if you look at the buying patterns and you look at people like Top Glove, you know that they are continuing their stock buybacks as well. So again, they have a little bit more visibility than we do.
Okay, right. I'll take the stock buybacks for now because as a Top Glove shareholder, I am quite confident about their future because not only do they do healthcare gloves, I mean the gloves that are used in hospitals and surgeries, but they also produce gloves that are used in the electronics industry. And so consequently, I would say that if there is going to be some turnaround in the global economy, then of course, things like the electronics industry could do quite well. And that could underline the performance for these glove makers.
Now, David, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the meltdown in crypto markets. Break it down for us. And what are some of the lessons we could learn from this?
Well, the thing is, I am probably going to get so much hate mail as a result of this because I have never been a big fan of cryptocurrencies. And all along, I've said to people, if you want to go and buy cryptocurrencies, make sure that it is only a small percentage of your portfolio so that if it does well, then you will be the star of every cocktail party. You can tell people how you bought cryptocurrencies for next to nothing, and suddenly you're making thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in profit. But be aware that you are buying something that is, in the words of Charlie Munger, who is the partner of Warren Buffett, he said you are buying essentially nothing. And so it is really sort of the definition of the greater fool theory. You buy something and you hope that there is somebody else out there who will buy it off you at a higher price. And if that transaction goes through, then of course you will make a profit. If that transaction doesn't go through, as in the case of FTT, the cryptocurrency that is associated with FTX, that is warning at the moment that they could be bankrupt unless they manage to raise somewhere between 4 and 8 billion US dollars in order to redeem those cryptocurrencies that people have bought. And I think that really is the problem with cryptocurrencies. A lot of people buy it because they think it's going to go up in price. But when you ask them, what exactly are you buying? They don't really sort of know. And it really goes back down to what you are investing in. If you can't say what you are investing in, then don't invest in it. Just call it a bit of speculation. Just call it a bit like, a trip to Cranji Racecourse and put a little bit of money on a horse. If it wins, it wins. If it doesn't win, well, you've lost your money. And that, I think, is the problem. But what has really happened is that this is now, I think, the fourth platform that has fallen into some kind of problems. So we've had Three Arrows, Celsius, Terra, and of course now FTX. And you have to wonder, where is the next one going to come? And if there is going to be a next one, in which case, if people start fearing that they've made some money in the cryptocurrencies, they're going to try and sell. And if they do sell, and if everybody starts rushing for the door, you're going to end up with an FTX problem. In other words, they're not going to be able to redeem the cryptocurrencies that you bought through them.
Now, David, this is something that we've always talked about offline, really, the whole opaqueness of the crypto industry is something that I'm sure regulators now will be even more concerned about moving forward.
But it's not regulated. That's the problem, Brian. So, I mean, let's say you and I start a platform, right? Let's say you and I start a platform and we call it Brian David Cryptocurrency. Okay, that's fine. So we sell this cryptocurrency, and let's say it has a nominal value of $1. So we take $1, and then people are happy. They go and buy our cryptocurrency for $1. It goes up to $10,000, right? And then they come back to us and say they want to redeem the $10,000 Brian David cryptocurrency. We haven't got $10,000. All we took was $1, right? So how are you going to redeem that $10,000 unless you have enough capital to back it up with? The problem now is that the cryptocurrencies are unregulated. It's an unregulated platform. So if you allow cryptocurrencies to trade, as in the case of Hong Kong, which wants to be a cryptocurrency base, then of course you have to think about how are you going to be regulating this currency. In the case of Singapore, they don't want cryptocurrency trading. So they don't want people to trade because otherwise they're going to have to step in and regulate it. So that example that I gave you, we sell it for $1, we're happy. We put $1 in our bank. Now, if somebody else wants to redeem that $1, we haven't got it, Brian. So who is the counterparty there? We are the only counterparties, and we have to go and find, that extra $9,999 from somewhere. Well, I'm going to look at you, Brian, to raise that $9,999.
Now, David, on a different note, something we talked about in last week's show, tech layoffs. Now, we talked about Twitter being the bellwether, potentially the canary in the coal mine in terms of tech layoffs. And that's really in the past week, that's really happened.
I know. Yeah, you were so ahead of the time there, Brian. I mean, when you actually sort of mentioned Twitter and the fact that could we see more layoffs? Well, just recently, I've just done a quick recce of some of the companies that are laying off workers. We've got Meta, the parent of Facebook. 11,000 jobs are going to go there. Then, of course, we have Twitter that you mentioned, 3,700. Lyft, 700. Stripe, 1,100. Coinbase, 1,100. Shopify, 1,000. This is unexpected. Netflix, 450 jobs are going. Microsoft could lose 1,000 jobs. And of course, Salesforce. I mean, Salesforce is one that I didn't think would actually have to lay off workers, but there are talks that they could lay off 2,000 workers there as well. So, I mean, that's a big pool of workers that are going to find it very difficult to find a job when they get laid off or if they get laid off. But the amusing thing is Twitter laid off workers, then they had to hire them back again because they found that they fired the wrong workers. I just hope they didn't fire anybody from the personnel department because, I mean, who's going to hire the personnel people if they fired all the personnel people?
Now, David, on a final note, we need to look at the US CPI numbers and the impact on interest rates. Walk us through that and what are you looking out for?
Okay, that I think is probably why the American market went down. It's kind of difficult sometimes to pinpoint, was it the cryptocurrencies that caused the the downfall of the indices in America, or is it because they're looking at the CPI numbers? And I think people are reckoning that it could be around about 8%, which is only a smidgen less than what it was last month. And I think when you have a look at 8% inflation rate and you have a look at the Fed fund rate, which is 4%, well, the Fed fund rate is nowhere near the inflation rate. So I think that all those people who are hoping that the Fed will pivot is not going to happen. That pivot is not going to happen. And the Fed is going to be determined to raise that Fed fund rate to such an extent that they can bring down inflation. But inflation is looking pretty sticky at the moment. Whether you say 8.3 or 8%, it's a very sticky inflation number. And that should concern people a lot, particularly those people who have money saved away in a nest egg. That is actually losing its value at 8% a year, Brian.
Yep, absolutely. Now, David, thank you very much for your insights. As always, thanks for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now, we've been speaking to David Kuo, founder of the Smart Investor out of Singapore, on BizTech's Asian Midday Market Watch, powered by the Smart Investor Singapore. I'm Brian Fernandez. This video and podcast will be on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our social media platforms. It'll also be on our syndication partners, TV stations, radio stations, and websites. Thanks a lot for tuning in.